Alright, hey everybody, welcome to Chiustream. Very happy to be here with you guys today. Thank you very much for showing up and kind of celebrating my birthday, just in case you didn't know. Which is a great reason to kind of spread the positivity and do a stream, don't you think? So, I want to, start off today by just doing a little roll call, huh? So, let me know if I'll give you a shout out. So it's great to see all the different people out there, from all the different countries in the world, all the different cities in the world, and it's just amazing to see the gathering that we've developed here over the many months, some of you, years. So I see Wykit from Malaysia out there. Mika Madden from Italy. Right on. How's it going, guys? Ketty from Italy. Denmark. Jeff from Copenhagen. Who else do we got here? We got Berlin, Germany. Bulgaria. Australia, Italy, Spain, Philippines, Germany, England, Las Vegas, Bulgaria again. Woo! Dang. There's a lot of people out there. Scotland, Philippines again. Right on. Brad from Toronto. Hey, Brad. Thank you very much. Manila, Russia, UK, Poland. Right on. Right on. All right. So it's great to have everybody on the stream. Let me just say that first. And hope everybody's stream is going okay. Just having a bit of trouble with the internet this morning. So hopefully everything is going okay. If it isn't, let me know. Nikki asks, isn't it the middle of the night for some of you? Heck yes! Heck yes! It's the middle of the night for some of you. I know this. Why? Because we at the Chiustream, we're all about the culture of being hardcore with our art. Right? And some of you might even know the stream from way, way back in the day, years ago, where we used to do the stream starting at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in Toronto. And I would have to kind of psych myself up, drink a bunch of nasty wheatgrass, and get energized, psych myself up, and do the stream with you guys after a whole day of work. That's what it's all about, you know? You gotta put your heart and soul into things that you love. Too many of us put all our effort, all our attention into things that we don't love. It's just occupying time. Like that iPhone game that you're just so into, Two Dots or Candy Crush or whatever it is, and it's just like, why are we putting in so much effort into something that won't really give us anything in return? I know it helps when you're bored and things like that, but you know what? How to make your life unboring is to take all those moments where you would be bored and put it into something that you love. Put it into something that you love and work on that until your life is just full of cool stuff, because you're constantly working on cool stuff and then you don't get bored very easily. Not only that, but when you focus on the right things, even if it's just a tiny little bit at a time, it really builds up. It really, really builds up over the years, over the months, over the years, and all of a sudden, you got something great. You gotta care and put the effort into things that we care about the most. Like this stream. For me, this stream that I'm doing with you guys is one of the most positive things in my life. So that's why I do it. Even though it might be Christmas, even though it might be, New Year's, unless I'm out of the country and I don't have good internet access, then I'm always doing these streams Thursdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. Pacific Time, even on my birthday, like today. It's my birthday today, but you know what? That doesn't matter to me nearly as much as doing these streams, because all the positive emails that I get and positive messages, and not just, way to go, I really liked your stream, but messages like, through your experiences, it really helped me in many ways because I found similarities and then I was able to steer myself the right way. Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for the happy birthday wishes. Super kind of you. Yeah, that's just awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. But yeah, it's just like the most important things in your life, you got to schedule everything around them. Protect them. Like the time that you get to do your art. The time that you get to study and learn more. Don't let anything interfere with these bigger goals. And, in the grand scheme of things, my birthday, that's great. Years and years and years ago, little me was born. But, is that important right now? Honestly, for me, I don't think so. I don't think so, because, there's way more important things for me now, even though the wishes are very much appreciated. Love you guys. Thank you so much for all your positive vibes. But what's more important to me now is stuff like this. Trying to affect as many people in a positive way as possible. A big part of this, for me, one of my big missions in life is to give people options. To make them feel like they have options. It doesn't matter what kind of education you had, where you live now, to make sure that everybody understands that we all have options here. I live in Toronto, Canada. It's not super far off the map, but at the same time, it is far away from where I get most of my work, from California. Right? That's like a 5-6 hour flight. There was a time before, when I first started, there wasn't a lot of people at all doing freelance, really far off the map or out of the country, that kind of thing. It wasn't really happening. And thank goodness that I just kept pursuing it, because if I didn't think that there was an option there, I wouldn't have done it. And that's what I find is very similar with a lot of the people that I talk to out there. The people that say, oh, yeah, people in companies in Brazil, I hear this a lot. Companies in Brazil don't respect art as much as they should. They don't respect the artists as much as they should. I hear this from Brazilian artists, and I definitely feel for them. But at the same time, I want you to know, it doesn't matter where you are in the world. It doesn't mean that you have to get your jobs from there. And actually, that's a great thing, because if you live in a country where the standards of living are much lower, and you're able to make yourself successful by getting like the good jobs that pay well, then all of a sudden you're living even better. And all of a sudden a disadvantage becomes a huge advantage. Let's keep that in mind. Even when people are saying it's not possible, that's not how you do things. I got that. That's not how you do things, Bobby. At lunchtime when I was working in this television studio, at lunch I remember a couple times we would talk about our dreams, talk about our goals. And I said, I want to start a studio. I want to do, I want to work on movies. I want to create characters, creatures, that kind of thing for movies. And, people were like, okay, so you're going to move to America? You're going to move to Hollywood or something? And I said, no, I'm going to, I have family here. I love my family. I love being around my brother and, my wife and her family. And all my friends are here, so I don't want to move. And then they said, well, that's not going to work. Okay, well, I guess you're going to get an agent over there. I said, no, I don't believe in agents right now. I feel like, of course, I feel like there is a purpose for them, but I feel like you don't necessarily need an agent to make it big, to do well. I said, no, I'm going to use the power of the internet. No agent. And they said, what? At this time, YouTube just came out. Just a few months before. And so a lot of times, if you look throughout history, people, they put all these rules on all these things and say, this isn't possible. This isn't how you do things. Right? And it's just like, well, that's how things are done now. But if you look at history, we keep changing how we do things, don't we? Before people, they couldn't fly. Before people thought that, if you're gay, you can't be married. Things like that. Things change. Things change. There's always, capital letters, always, exceptions to the rule. Just about for every rule. Jeff, I can see you. You're from Denmark. What do you do if you live in a country where the standards of living is super high? I mean, there's a lot of places for freelance, except the big places, well-paying places. You could live somewhere cheaper, but at the same time, I'm not about moving just for your job. I'm all about strategizing and designing not just characters and art and backgrounds and things like that, but designing your life. If you just take some time right now and just think about, what do you want your end goal to be? Right? Where do you want to be in 10 years from now? I know you hear this all the time, but there's a reason why we say this all the time. Where do you want to be in 10 years? Where's your end goal? A lot of life, it kind of steers us in certain ways, when we are very much all about our friends. Our friends will steer us towards certain ways. Maybe they're all going out, and then you're thinking, okay, I could either stay home and draw or go out. If you're very much kind of influenced by your friends, then you're going to go out with them. Family, same thing. Work, same thing. I'm not going to go out with my friends because I'm very much centered around my work, and so I'm going to stay in and work. But what if your friends are not the best influence? What if your family is not the best influence on you? What if your work is not the best influence on you? And of course, if you have everything centered around yourself, then that means you're self-centered, and that's no good either. So it's kind of scary. It's like all these different things in life, it's kind of like chance. If you have good friends, then great. If you don't, then you're in big trouble. If you have bad surroundings, not good either. All these things, right? Well, you don't want to let luck and chance steer your life. You want it to help your life, but you don't want it to control your life, because all of a sudden you're putting fate into just chance, and that's not a good idea. So what I'm saying is, think about where you want your life to go. Think about the person that you want to be in 10 years. How do you want people to talk about you and look at you? And, what kind of friends do you want by then? And start to paint that picture. And let that be your guiding thought that guides your decisions. Right? Let that guide your decisions. And I'm saying this because it works. My own thoughts on my studio was that I wanted to stay in Toronto, Canada. I wanted to have lots more time to spend with my family, my friends. I wanted a life that I felt was a lot more free, that I'm, able to come into work when I want, leave when I want. I wanted to be able to travel the world a lot. I wanted to affect as many people as I could in a positive way. I let all those things kind of be my guiding, my guiding kind of principles or goals that would direct all my kind of decision making. A few times, people asked, studios have asked, can I, move to work? Can I move to California to work? Can I move to London to work? Because that doesn't align with my goals, I said no. It doesn't matter if I'm more centered around work or friends or whatever. I let my guiding kind of image of my future that I want, I let that be my guide. And if you let that be your guide, and you really think about what you want your life to become, what is your end game? That's the perfect guide to help you direct your different decisions. And all this stuff, it really makes sense to me. Okay, I've used it, it works. These are my thoughts from my own experiences being in the entertainment business, having my studio for almost 10 years now, and running a successful art career and studio. But that doesn't mean that what I'm saying is the only answer. There's plenty of other options out there. Okay? There's plenty of other options out there. However, what I'd like to say to you is that if it doesn't make sense to you, then fine. What if I'm doesn't make sense to you, then totally fine. Do it some other way. Go about it in a different way. That's great. That's independent thinking. But if I am saying something that does make sense to you, then you have to do it for your own good. You have to do it. Too many of us hear advice, they go, yes, yes, I understand, okay, whatever. But, they don't take it. They don't actually do it. Which is kind of funny, because it makes sense to them and they don't do it. So what I'm saying to you is, if it doesn't make sense to you, it's totally cool. I'm not going to be offended in the least bit, because there's many different ways to do many different things. However, what I want to say is, if anything that I tell you that has worked for me, and makes sense to you, do it. Because if you don't, it's like you're letting laziness, fear, negative things control your life. Everyone has a mind of their own, but only the strong are able to control it. So let's be strong. do what we know is right. Okay, so if you have any questions for me, best thing to do is go to bit.do/Chiustream. The very first post on there, it will lead you to a Facebook page. The very first post on there, if you post your questions in those comments, then it's much easier for me to be able to see them and to respond. Because as you can see, the stream, it gets a little crazy sometimes. It just keeps going and going, and then it gets kind of difficult to read all the questions. I'll try to read them as much as I can. However, sometimes they just go by super quick. And the other thing I want to mention was, if you go to the fan page, all you have to do is go to bit.do/Chiustream. If you share that page, at the end of the stream, I'm going to pick one of you and give you a free pass to a Schoolism Live workshop in a city of your choice. Okay, we have to choose from. We have Montreal, Canada, September 20th to 21st. There we have Nathan Fowkes coming, teaching about environment design, how to design with light and color. We have Dai Satsumi coming, talking about color scripts. We have Robert Kondo coming. Both have been art directors at Pixar for films like Ratatouille, Toy Story 3, Monsters Inc., or Monsters University. Those guys are coming. San Francisco is next. You can also choose San Francisco, October 6th. We're going to have Daniel Arriaga, Pixar character designer. Brenda Chapman, Oscar-winning director, co-director of Brave, co-director of Prince of Egypt. And then we have Dai Satsumi and Robert Kondo again. And very shortly, Tuesday of next week, we're opening up the London workshop. Boom. Lots of people anticipating this one. This one's going to sell pretty quick, I think. If there's any indications from previous years. October 11th and 12th, London, Schoolism Live. Pixar character designer Daniel Arriaga. Pixar story artist Luis Gonzalez, teaching all about gesture drawing. If you have problems with posing, if you want to understand how do these Pixarians do such beautiful, honest, and lifelike poses, that's the perfect one for you. And then we have director Chris Pern, talking about visual storytelling. And then we have the same lineup, Daniel Arriaga, Luis Gonzalez, and Chris Pern again, coming to you in Berlin. You could choose that one as well, October 18th, 19th. And then November 8th and 9th, Florianopolis, Brazil, one of my favorite places in the world. It's going to be great to meet up with a lot of in-house workshop students. That's going to be awesome. So look out for it. It's coming. Jenny knows Luis Gonzalez totally rocks. Totally rocks. It's going to be nuts. All right. So let me just go to, I want to go to the page where I left open for comments, questions. Okay. And also, if you have any questions, I will try to answer as many as I can in the chat. It's just a lot if you just leave it in the comments on that Facebook page there. However, looks like my Facebook is. We'll see. Okay. Right on. Gonna see Jenny in Berlin. Right on. Been to the Florence one? Yeah, you know, the first thing I did or I thought of when I finished doing the gesture drawing workshop with Luis Gonzalez, I think a year and a half ago, was why don't they teach this in school? Why don't they teach this stuff in school? That was like the very first thing I thought of. You know, how do you get to the top? How do you become a successful artist? So many people ask that. You know, what advice would you give? Search for the right teachers, my friends. I've been through the school thing. I've been around bad teachers. I've been around great teachers. But from my own experience, you learn way more outside of school. Why? Because a lot of the people that are actually doing the stuff that you want to learn, they have a different set of knowledge. It's practical knowledge. You know, there's a lot of great full-time teachers out there. Some of them are wonderful, wonderful teachers for students. But in general, what I'm saying is, because it's hard to figure out what teachers are the good teachers, what schools are the good schools, and do any of these schools have just non-stop great teachers? Or do they have some that are good and then some that are okay? You know, the main thing is, if you want to get to the top, you gotta go and find people that are already at the top and learn from them. That is my Chiustream tip of the century. The best way to get to the top is to learn from the people that are already there at the top. You can get there in other ways, learning from, you know, some good teachers, some bad teachers, whatever. People that have never actually done the things that you want to do, you can learn from those people, but it'll be harder. It will. How I learned the most was because I'm lucky enough to know these people and learn from them through work, through encounters, through whatever. And one of the best things that I've done is stayed curious. Stayed curious about people, about, you know, their thoughts, their philosophies, their lives, their art. I think that has been one of the biggest factors in just networking and finding that good knowledge, finding great mentors, great people to admire and to learn from. All right. Let's see what else we got going on over here. Yeah, so if you have any questions, let me know in the comments, please, and I will be happy to respond. Right now my Facebook is just a little funky. Let's see if I can get this stuff working well. So yeah, if you have any questions in the chat right now, go ahead and go to some of those as well. So, being my birthday, it's like you can't help but to kind of think back where you've been, how I was, you know, years ago, how I grew up, all these things. Now, I grew up as a very shy kid. Actually, it's funny because my parents, if you ask them, did you ever think Bobby would do speaking engagements, do, talking in front of a crowd and things like that, they would have said no. Not at all. Lots of things have changed, since I was a little kid till now. Completely different person in many different ways. But what I've learned is it doesn't matter who you are or who you were as much as who you become. There's so many people, like my old classmates, for example. Some were amazing in school, and then they never really progressed. They were rock stars in school and never really progressed. Some people were practically invisible in school, but they progressed a lot and now are doing amazing. Some people, they were great in school, couldn't get enough, kept going, and now they're truly a force to be reckoned with. So there's all sorts, and they all started in many different ways. All right. So let's see. There's a question in the chat. Secret of success in the illustration is under promise, over deliver. Well, that's definitely one of them. It definitely helps, and that's a core kind of thing that I adhere to, that I totally practice. Under promise, over deliver. Totally. Dwayne asks, do you think you'll eventually record some of these on-site workshop lectures for an online viewing? No plans yet. Who knows? But no plans yet. You gotta go there live. I'm not planning on doing any kind of recordings there or whatever. It's a different experience, and that's the experience I want you guys to have. And if I'm not, in a city near you, if we're not coming to a city near you, I plan on going to a city near you. I promise you that, because I love traveling and spreading, these kind of opportunities around the world is one of my missions. It's totally, totally changes your perception of art when you learn from great artists that are really passionate about teaching and teach their methods, their philosophies that they've developed over decades, years and decades. Let's go to some of these questions here. Okay, so the very first one, Maya asks, have you ever designed a really unique creature you're so proud of, and then bam, 1 week later or so you see something absolutely similar somewhere else from like 2 years ago that you didn't know, or worse, you knew but forgot about it? What to do then? Change it, keep it, erase it? It actually never happened to me, but I can tell you a funny kind of story. Some of you know, my art skills, art genes, I probably got that from my mom. I definitely didn't get that from my dad. My dad's great, but he can't really draw at all. And, we had this discussion, me and my dad, just talking about how he has a different perception of art. He likes things that just look real. Okay, you're painting a creature. Okay, great, but I know that's not real. It would be much better if you painted like a beautiful fish, or swimming in the water, or a vase full of flowers that looked really real. That's great art to him. That's the art that he gravitates towards. So there's always been this kind of disconnect between my dad and my art. And one day he was watching National Geographic and he was watching some weird creature and he was looking at it and he goes, I never understood your art and I always felt like, where does Bobby come up with these crazy ideas for these creatures that don't exist? And then he pointed at the screen and it's like, but they do exist. They do exist. They're right there. So I was like, that's where you get it from. And it's just like, almost like, oh yeah, it's actually not that imaginative. These things really do exist. I was just like, oh man, kind of ruined the point, right? The point is to kind of encourage his son, compliment his son about his art, and instead it was kind of like, oh yeah, I thought your imagination was really, really good, but it's actually from real life. So, funny little story for you about something that was kind of similar to what you're saying, Maya. Emily asks, I was wondering, do you find that there's a digestion process even after your work is complete? When do you know to stop adding one more touch? That's always, I think the best thing to do is just to get up off your chair, go do something else for 20 minutes, come back and look at it. Do you want to add more? Do you want to add, is it done? Then I do little checks where I'll flop the image, look at it from, the mirror image, look at things to see, are they distinguishable? Are they attracting the right amount of attention? What is the general feeling that I'm getting from the art? Besides the technical stuff, besides all these different things, besides the idea, in the grand scheme of things, the art is supposed to make people feel a certain way. Make sure that feeling is there. Make sure that if it's something that's supposed to be funny, well, you have to really, truly look at it and go, oh, I love it, and start, like a stranger, if the person just kind of like smirks a bit out of politeness kind of thing, it's not funny. You got to add more to it. Something that I talk about with my students on Schoolism quite a lot. Their ideas, how to make it truly, truly hit the mark. And it's all from your gut. You got to really feel it from your gut and feel, what kind of emotional impact am I getting from this image? Of course, technical aspects of your image help to support this, so it's important. But the high level and the high end kind of thinking, high level thinking is, what kind of emotional response am I getting? Is that the right emotional response that I wanted? Okay, so Roberto asks a pretty long thing here, which is it a good idea to follow these steps as a method for drawing? Sketch, references, ambient occlusion, lighting. It goes through all these different steps: specular reflection, atmospheric and depth of field, and all this stuff. That's a good way, but it's not the only way. And there's many, many different ways. And kind of like the best true advice I can give you is learn all these techniques, learn all this technical stuff. It's going to be necessary, but at the same time, learn it to the point where it comes almost second nature, and then kind of just be free. Paint freely. And you'll tend to use groups of technical things, groups of techniques to create your art in a very spontaneous way. I think that is the best way to, do a great painting, drawing, whatever. It's to get to that level, though. It's kind of like when Bruce Lee said, you know, first when you know nothing, you throw a punch, you're just throwing a punch. Then you learn all the technical aspects of, you know, Jeet Kune Do and all this stuff, and you learn how to technically throw a punch really well, and now you're stiff. Right? And to get to that master level, to get to that level where it's beyond just the student level, or the average student level, is to kind of forget all that technical stuff, let it just flow, and then you're just throwing a punch again. I feel like it is related to art in many different ways. Juan Francisco asks, you probably have a super busy schedule managing a studio, the classes, mentorship. What are some tips you use to organize your week? Wow, that one is a very long answer. You know, there's many different things I do, but easiest one is create a list at the end of your day, around 4 or 5 o'clock today, PM. Create a list for tomorrow and just start knocking every one of those things off. Don't create your list in the beginning of the day. It slows you down when you come in. It's much better if you have a list, you come into work, you can look at the first thing, you can go boom, go straight to that. Then I have my buddy Diane Bishop. What's up, Diane? Good to see you on the stream. I have a question for you. I work 12-hour shifts, and my days change from one week to the next. I find it difficult to keep a routine for working on my art because of this. What advice do you have for setting a routine when you work long hours and irregular shifts? Diane, that is such a good question. What I would do in your situation is start thinking about waking up earlier, going to sleep later. It doesn't matter what your schedule is, but make it just this strict kind of thing that you do not compromise with, which is to get up, you know, 2 or 3 hours earlier than you usually do, and let that time be just for yourself, your art. You know, you'll have to sleep earlier, obviously, but that is the best way. When you have a job, and it's a draining job, whether it's an art job or non-related art job, and it's draining, my advice for everybody is, if you feel, you know, too tired, or perhaps lazy, or too busy, or whatever it is, to work on your art after work, then do this. Wake up earlier, do it before your work. Life has a way of kind of trapping us, of just sticking stuff on you as the time goes on, as the years go on, that slow you down. Bills to pay, things to do, family starts to extend, all these things. They're not all bad things, but they're things, right? And we have to outsmart how life is kind of structured. Best way to do that is just to wake up earlier and take that time for yourself. Like today, it's awesome. Got up 5 a.m., thought about a lot of stuff, did a lot of things, came into work, relaxed. What am I supposed to do at 5 a.m.? It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter for me. I don't put that kind of stress on myself. I might have like 1 or 2 things that I'll look at, but that's it. And it's been great that way. You get so much more done. And if you wake up early, it's a great positive thing. You know, you actually feel really good about it. You already feel like you've been you've achieved something difficult. Let's see here. Wykit, miss you, buddy. Another one of our old in-house workshop students. I've been trying cross-hatching these days. Is there any tips in doing good cross-hatching on sketches? Well, there's many different ways to do cross-hatching. What I like to do is I like to have my cross-hatching reflect the structure that's describing. So it's almost like, it's not like I'm darkening an area, it's more like I'm putting lines across the form. Okay, and that, I like that. You know, it tends to show a lot more about volume, and it looks good. So, you know, you could try that, you could try many different things, but that would be my 2 cents there. So Jenny asks, let's see here. You often say that you keep learning, improving, which I think everyone ought to do. I do think it's a little hard to pick on what to focus on first, though. There are so many things I want to learn to get better, but how do you decide, you know, which aspect of art needs your attention first? Now, I sort of learn as I paint, learning bits and pieces as I go, but perhaps not very structured. Jenny, first thing to do is to put into your schedule just once a week time where you're learning, not just painting to learn, like not just painting and through painting you learn, but to actively go out and search for knowledge. So that could be either in a workshop, it could be an art book that you can read and it will teach you things, not just through pretty pictures, online class, whatever it might be, night class. The people that do that, the people that, I heard this thing where it's like, if you spend 3 to 5% of your annual income on learning, you know, buying DVDs or whatever it might be, downloads or whatever, that will, by learning those new things, income will come back to you 3 to 5-fold. I tend to believe that. If you're learning something that you don't really need to actually learn, and you're learning it anyways, well, especially if you're already employed, you're doing well, now you've just opened up the possibilities even wider, because now you've learned something new. And now people can come to you because you have this new knowledge and, you know, give you a job that they wouldn't have given you otherwise. You know, so how do you decide on what to learn first? You gotta think Forrest Gump. You know, you think he really decides? He just kind of spends a second deciding and then just does it. Right? So think of it like this, Jenny. What do you want to learn first? And then you just pick one and you stick to it. It doesn't mean that that's what you're doing forever and ever for your whole entire life. It just means that's what I'm learning first. You know, I learned computer animation years ago. Modeling, animation, you know, it was with Maya. Do I do any of that stuff now? No. Did it help me? Yes. It helped me a lot to just understand the full pipeline, to have a better idea of how my place in doing concept art helps affect everybody down the road. So it really doesn't matter what you learn. Just pick one, learn it well, and the opportunities will show themselves as long as you put yourself out there. Maggie Shaggy, right on, love the name. Do you think it's possible to become a good artist if your parents aren't artists and you've been drawing only for 3 years, not since childhood? It really bothers me. I think I'm never going to be able to reach other artists' level. Like I said, Maggie, it doesn't matter who you are or who your parents were. It doesn't matter who you are right now as much as who you will become. for every kind of for every example like this, there's an example out there where it was totally same kind of situation, and now that person is super successful. You're on the same path. For me, I remember going to college, and there's all these people in college, and they're talking about their high schools and how they were in these special high schools for art and all this stuff. Their parents were artists, things like that. I probably got, you know, the genes to do art through my mom, but was she an artist? No. Did she, become this super successful or a professional artist? No. She pursued other things. Does my dad know how to draw? No. Are there any other artists in my family at all? No. There's a lot of teachers. So I feel like teaching and sharing, it's in my blood. But art was not. I had to cram it in there. And that's what you need to do. And you know what? If we chart out the grand scheme of things, everybody that's had great genes and great artists as parents, okay, and how successful in art did they become? Okay, yeah, the graph might be pretty good, shows some pretty good benefits of having great genes and great artists as parents. And probably the low end of the graph is all full of people that didn't have great artists as parents, didn't have any good genes. But at the very top of the chart, at the very, very top, I have a very sneaking suspicion that it's full of people just like you, Jenny, that didn't have parents that were artists to give them advice, genes that they were just born with that made them awesome artists. I believe they had to work for it super hard. And because they had to work for it super crazy hard, they became better artists. They developed way better morals, working habits, dedication, way stronger dedication, same kind of thing. And it was because of these disadvantages that you think are bestowed upon you, that really made you work even harder than a normal person. I think you're totally in that category. Okay. Paul Forrest, happy birthday. Thank you very much. You have a very distinctive style. Have you ever had to bend this style or even avoid it completely for other or particular gigs? Yeah, totally. All the time. A lot of the independent stuff that I put out there, that's kind of like, that's my style. The movie stuff that I do, it's always changing. Why? Because every director, they'll look at your stuff and they'll be like, I love that stuff that you did for this other project. I love this work that you've been doing. Which is why I want you to work on my film. But I want something that nobody's ever seen before. Awesome, amazing, and nobody's ever seen before. That's like the common thing. And that's part of your job. Is to try to do things differently. Always bend the style and always change and evolve. Keddy writes a confession. This is interesting. I haven't read it yet, but I'll read it to you now. I work as a professional comic book colorist for years, but I lost my dreams. I cannot see in my soul and figure out what are my goals. I've definitely been there. Once I wanted to become a children's illustrator, so I want to be a comic artist penciler, but now I'm lost. My dream is lost. I don't know what to do. I'm not happy anymore to do my work, but I don't have a dream anymore. If someone will read this, please make a wish for me in your soul. Wish me to find again my dreams. See you soon, my friends. Caddy, I'm wishing for you. And even more so, I hope you just keep thinking about it. Keep thinking about what you want your goals to be. Not in some sad way, but more in like just questioning, where do you want your goals to be? Or where do you want your idea of success to lead you to? You know, like, what do you want to do with your life? Where is the end goal? I hear children's book illustrator. That's great. Let it simmer in your mind a bit. You know, let it just stay there in your mind more and more, stronger and stronger every day. And stay with it. Keep looking. Write it down. Put it on your computer. You know, 2018. Ketty Formaggio, the amazing children's book illustrator. Put that there. Keep staring at it. Keep writing little notes on there. How, you know, what are the pieces that will lead me to that point? And let me do this thing for you, okay? Right now, everybody, let's think about your goal. Think about that goal that you might have lost, that you don't even think you could even reach. And for a second here, let's forget about all the, you know, what the possibilities are, and just imagine that it's real. It's happening. You are that children's book illustrator. You are that concept artist. You are that person. Right? Picture it in your mind. Picture the room around you. You're doing awesome now. You're in this awesome studio and you're doing great. Okay, now look down on your desk and imagine what that work looks like. Imagine where your skills are at. Imagine the routine that you do every day. When do you get up? When do you go to sleep? How much did that person, that ideal you, had to sacrifice, practice, you know, working hard? When do they get up? When do they go to sleep? How much time are they putting into these wonderful dreams? Take a step back after, you know, before that. How did you get there? How did you get these amazing habits, dedication? What kind of friends are you hanging out with now? Who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with? Take a step back before that. And take a step before that. What happened to lead you to that ideal situation? Leading you all the way back to where you are now. That's the path that you'll have to take, Ketty. And that's the path that all of us will have to take, whatever path you imagined. Every day picture this. Every day go through this. This is something I still do. Try to keeping me on the right path. It's to keep me on the right path. And that will keep you on the right path. And if your dream is still children's book illustrator, I'm not saying to drop everything, but keep moving in that direction. You know, when you start picturing everything that you had to go through, you're picturing the price of admission. If you want to enter this kind of a life, a successful life, what was the price of admission? And you have to think about it. Is it worth it to me? I told this to a friend of mine that wanted to be a fine artist. I said, if you want to sell $100,000 paintings, picture yourself selling $100,000 paintings. Now, what what did you paint? Try to think about that. What are your skills like? What's your lifestyle like? How did you get there? What were you painting before that? How much were you selling that for? What were you painting before that? Where were your paintings? In what galleries? What kind of people did you meet? What kind of price did you pay to get to that? The bigger the change in your life, the bigger the price that you have to pay. But I can tell you that we can all pay that price, and we can all get to that level in one way or another. It might not be exactly what you thought, right? But it'll be pretty darn close, and I guarantee you'll be pretty darn satisfied. This is important to think about your goals and where you want your career to go, your art career, what kind of art you want to do, things like that. This is super important, because if you're just working hard and you're not looking up to see where you're working towards, you might be doing the wrong thing all this time. Okay. Let's see here. Just gonna finish up Rocket Raccoon here. Yeah, in case you didn't know, this is kind of like a remake kind of thing of some of my favorite characters from one of my favorite movies this year, Guardians of the Galaxy. So good. Alright, let's go to Pat here. Pat asks, how do you practice creature design? Like, do you go do life drawings in the zoo, or just use photo reference? Are there other artists who had influenced your style? Lots of great artists. So what do? I do all that kind of stuff. Life drawing. I go to zoos. I go to, whenever I travel, I try to see some sort of wildlife in some way or another. I use photo reference. I look at other art. Everything. What is the best thing to do? Everything, and all at once, as much as you can, and just fill up your brain. Are there other artists who had influenced my style? Definitely. And a lot of these people, I am so thankful and lucky to call many of them my friends now. Terrell Whitlatch, huge creature designer that has inspired me. Actually, Chris Sanders. Love Chris Sanders' work. His design, all that stuff has really inspired me. Peter DeSev, Steven Silver, even though he doesn't draw as many creatures, he can draw creatures, and his design sense is fantastic. Michael Kuche, my wonderful friend that I worked on both the Alice in Wonderland projects together with. Phenomenal artist. Kay Asadera, my partner in crime. She has always been a gigantic, the biggest influence on me, I would say. Yeah, there's a lot. All right. Let's see what else we got here. Oops. See if there's any other questions. I'm just kind of refreshing the page a bit. But if you haven't noticed a pattern with a lot of these talks here, I'm I try to encourage everybody as much as possible to keep learning. Don't stop. You know, I was asked, are there any rules that you can tell me? You know, the rule of thirds, golden rectangle, or whatever, all these different things. Is there anything that you can tell me where I can follow these rules and make some awesome art? He said, that's very complex. In the end, it becomes all about the feeling. And the thing is, something that might have been awesome before, a lot of times is not so awesome now. Things change. The whole world, we as humans are evolving faster than ever. And you start falling behind the moment you stop learning. And so, what kind of rigid rules can I give you, which will make all your art awesome? It's not much I can say. There's things that I can tell you need, or it would be a good idea to have. Very much your fundamentals is what I would say. The fundamentals in what you paint, you know, good lighting, good structure, good design sense, these kind of things. Those are some of the hardest things to learn. Techniques are the easiest thing to learn. But fundamentals is what will carry you the furthest. But at the same time, you gotta keep learning. You gotta keep learning. If you want to stay in the art business, and you don't want to put your career in jeopardy when you're, you know, later on in your career, when you need that job the most, be prepared now. Have a healthy dose of paranoia where you are constantly feeling like you need to learn more. And if you adopt this, you will learn so much throughout your career, and you will never have to worry about finding work and things like that. You would be constantly in demand. Because you're just constantly learning. I see Fur is writing a really nice comment in the chat there. Very nice of you to say you're changing people's lives and making the world a nicer place to be in. Thank you so much. You know, that's my ultimate goal in life. You know, to affect as many people in a positive way as possible, and hopefully change some lives in a positive way. Hopefully change it in a positive way dramatically. You know, my own kind of idea of success, you know, success to me in my life is to be a person of peace, positivity, patience, happiness, discipline, and self-control. To get control of my mind, to make sure that, you know, I am doing and feeling the way that I want to, not letting, you know, things around me control how my life is going to end up, but actually taking control of my own life. So thank you very much for that. It's very nice of you. And it's very nice of all you guys to, you know, birthdays are awesome because of this. Everybody's so nice with their wishes and everything. And I really appreciate it. Yeah, it's great. So I hope I see a lot of you guys out there at the workshops. Montreal, for sure. Gotta come out to Montreal. If you have the chance, do it. You know, a lot of people when they talk to me, they go, "Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky about this. You're so lucky about that. You're so lucky you have this talent. You're so lucky that you got to meet this person. Or you're so lucky you got to work on this and that." But a person that constantly plants seeds of potential opportunities will soon grow lucky fruit. You know, so in other words, you can cultivate your own luck. And opportunities appear when you pay more attention, when we pay more attention to our surroundings. So you got to keep your eyes open. And then you will get that same kind of luck as well. And right now, if you don't see it, you know, workshops with such incredible artists like these guys, like the people that I get to do these schoolism workshops, and you know, even if it isn't my own workshop, even if it isn't schoolism workshops, there's lots of great workshops out there. You know, but these are all amazing opportunities. You know, to expand your mind, to learn, to grow your skill set, and to meet these people that are doing the things that you want to do. So if you can come out to Montreal Workshop, definitely do it, because it's going to be awesome. It's going to be crazy. And Saturday, the weekend of the workshop, we're going to have a little get-together, a little party, have some drinks, do some drawing, meet the artists, talk with everybody. You know, come meet me. It's going to be awesome. Don't let these opportunities pass you by. By the way, the San Francisco workshop with Daniel Arriaga, Robert Kondo, Dice Tatsumi, and Brenda Chapman, it's almost sold out. So get on it. If you're planning on it, get on it. You know, sometimes becoming great, quote unquote great, is hard, because being good, a good artist, makes life more comfortable. You have to keep that mentality of, you got to keep pushing. You know, at first, when you have nothing, when you're just starting off, you're scrounging. You know, you're doing everything that you can. You're building up all this momentum, all this energy to try to move your career down the right path. Then we get better. Then we start learning stuff, right? And then we get good, perhaps. And then once you get good, you get a decent job, and life gets better. And a lot of us out there, we slow down when that happens. Don't slow down. That's the trap. That's the trap that life gives us. This nice, cushy, you know, life for now. If you fall for the trap, the whole world keeps evolving faster than ever. And you start falling behind before you even know it. All right. Almost done here. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Somebody's asking Florianopolis workshop. When can I know more info about the Florianopolis workshop? Let me check my... Well, I know it's in December, or it's in November 8th and 9th. Okay, so it's going to be November 8th and 9th in Florianopolis, Brazil. And we're set to have Daniel Arriaga, Luis Gonzalez, you know, and Kay and I, we're coming down as well. So Luis Gonzalez is going to teach this awesome awesome gesture drawing workshop that he was planning on doing last year. Definitely don't miss that. It's an amazing interactive experience, and you'll learn so much. Daniel Arriaga, he's going to be teaching about character design, what he does for Pixar, doing character designs. And then Luis Gonzalez will be teaching a second workshop about what was it? I don't want to get it wrong, but it's pretty much like telling great story through your art. And that's going to be really, really good. I've seen a bit of that, and it was mind-blowing, so I can't wait to hear the rest of it. But it's called The Fundamentals of Story with Luis Gonzalez. So he's going to be talking about story concepts that he's learned working in feature animation. Some of the topics included would be what makes a compelling character, your character's point of view and why it's important, the mechanics of storyboarding. It's totally the ideal workshop for students and professionals. Definitely, look out for that in the upcoming weeks. It's going to be great. And I almost finished this painting here. Just gonna refresh the page. Pick a oh, I got another question here. Try to answer as many as I can. So, Flying Koala, I was curious. Last week you mentioned you were working with someone in Spain. I know there's lots of things that you can't share until this project is done, but was wondering if you could share how that happened, how you got in touch, and how the project came to be. A good friend of mine, her best friend is a producer at Warner Brothers. She was looking for an artist, and my friend recommended me. And the director just happens to be in Spain. That was it. Again, it's like if you're a person that constantly plants seeds of potential opportunities, it will grow lucky fruit. So what that means is, because I'm always, I'm always trying to be a positive person, be friendly, introduce myself to people, learn about people's lives, things like that. Sometimes nothing really, I don't benefit from it. A lot of times I don't benefit from it. A lot of times I don't benefit from it for years. But if you just are a person that keeps planting seeds of positivity, something will happen eventually. Something will happen, and from a person that you didn't even expect, you get wonderful opportunities back. That is the law of life. If you're constantly giving, the law of life says that you will be rewarded by life giving something back to you. If you're constantly trying to take, you're only going to encounter people that are going to try to take things from you. In so many different beliefs and things like that, there's this constant thing about balance. balancing your life, balancing the good and the bad and all this stuff. You gotta kind of you gotta put yourself in a situation where the balance is, you know, good stuff going out constantly, and the world will rebalance, or your life will be rebalanced by the world giving back to you. It's not like give away everything that you have. I don't know if that would work, you know, but give as much as you can. Okay, so there we go. That's the end of the stream today. Let's pick a winner, and I'm going to select somebody at random, and then you could pick from one of the workshops that we're doing, or you can, you know, if you're not close to any of these workshops, then you can always give it to somebody else. Okay, sending good vibes out there. So here we go. Gabby Felio. Let me I'll write this in the chat here. I'm sorry if I messed up your name, but Gabby Felio, look out for a message from me. You just were the random person selected to win a free workshop pass. Okay, so you can choose from Montreal, Florence, Italy, San Francisco, US, Berlin, Germany, London, Italy, or sorry, London, UK. I was gonna say Florence. No, not Florence yet. So I'm sorry about that. I think I just mentioned Florence. So it's, let me just make sure. London, England, Berlin, Florianopolis, Brazil, San Francisco, or Montreal, Canada. Okay, so look out for a message from me. I'll get you one of those passes. Okay, for everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and all the wonderful wishes. You guys are awesome, and I'm sending positive vibes out to all of you. Have a great Thursday. Take care, and goodbye. See you next Thursday.